Doctor, we thank you. We are inspired by your work, and I suspect those moments of uncertainty and even failure tested you and your team and helped produce the life-changing and life-saving outcomes that it has. We congratulate you and thank you very much. We appreciate it, sir. From the research labs of West Philadelphia to the northeast region of France, the province of Champagne. How's my French, all right? While the area is best known for the production of the sparkling white wine that bears the region's name, it is also the childhood home of our next presenter. As a seasoned life sciences executive and leader, Hervé Opinel made a thoughtful choice to join the greater Philadelphia community. For the past 5 years, Hervé has been leading a nimble and fast-growing biopharmaceutical company with headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware, known as Incyte. With a robust career at Rhône-Poulenc and Aventis, and executive leadership roles with Novartis, Hervé was drawn to Incyte thanks to the science and the talent that is so rich here in this area. Here to share why Greater Philadelphia is the perfect place for Incyte and for him, please welcome Hervé Opinel, Chairman, President, and Chief Executive Officer of Incyte. All right?
Thank you for the introduction. I apologize. I come from a little bit of south of here in Delaware, where we have an accent. We speak slightly differently. But so for the next 5 minutes, we'll speak about Delaware Valley or Philadelphia, Delaware. I just learned, in fact, that Delaware was part of Pennsylvania up to a very recent time. It was June 1776. Where, in fact, there was a new state that was created that became Delaware, but for a long time it was just the same state. So if you forget the past 200 and some years, we were always together in some way. And I think we are together. What I would like to do is maybe just spend the 5 minutes on a celebration for research and discovery, because I think it's very important we keep in mind that this entire process of discovering groundbreaking new ways to practice medicine is not something that is very simple. And, when we hear Dr. June speak about what he did, it looks like, oh, yeah, that was just, by the way, we just changed the course of, leukemia. It's not the way it is. Research and discovery is a long and confusing and painful process. It takes 10 years, most of the time, to get to anything. It's fairly expensive. And, the most important aspect of it is that it's very difficult to predict what the outcome will look like. And when we speak about progress in cancer, you can look at survival in many different types of cancer in the US. What you see is that a tremendous progress has been made. Some of it is, what Dr. June has done, which is one new technology that will fundamentally change a disease, and suddenly there is a cure for people who didn't have it before. Some of it, or maybe in CML with Gleevec, like 15 years ago. But some of it is also incremental change that you see with small layers of improvement. When I started working in this field 30 years ago, the median survival in metastatic breast cancer was around 8.5 months. Today, we are speaking of 40 months. You cannot quote one drug that made it happen. In fact, it is 30 years of slight improvement that has led to something today where a diagnosis of breast cancer is very different from what it was at the time 30 years ago. So thinking of the way we are sort of approaching this issue of uncertainty, of time, of resources. So Incyte, just a few miles down the road here in Delaware, is a company that is really dedicated to doing that research part of the process in depth. We have 600 people working in our R&D. Out of the 600, 300 of them are in biology and chemistry and are literally discovering new products. These new products will be maybe available to patients with cancer or some other disease we are targeting in 2030. So that's the cycle we are working on, which is a cycle that is also obviously creating a number of uncertainties. And this dealing with uncertainty, I think, is at the core of what we do between academic center and biotech companies. And I just want to give you an example, which is a success story. So it's forgetting everything that failed, looking at the ones that worked, is the story of ruxolitinib. So that's a product that is now available around the world. It's a product that is a JAK1, JAK2 inhibitor, so it was a pathway that was well understood in the community as being an oncogenic pathway for solid tumors. So we had this idea of combining ruxolitinib with chemotherapy, and that was a way to delay progression of the disease. And obviously, that was the first test that we done. And then in the middle of that process, we discovered the JAK2 mutation in some rare type of blood disease called myelofibrosis and polycythemia vera. And today, in fact, after all of this history took place, we have a new and only approved treatment for both myelofibrosis and polycythemia vera, which obviously was not what we were thinking at the beginning of the process. So this sort of openness to saying, let the drug lead you to where it belongs is something that I believe is very, very important to what we do in our business. And in last week, in fact, that same product became the first ever product approved for a disease called graft versus host disease, GVHD, which is one of the very problematic complications of a bone marrow transplant. So it's just an example of how, it is, innovation is something that takes more than resources, it takes more than time. It takes also a little bit of openness to let science guide you and lead you where you will end up. Now, why is it a good thing to do that here in Delaware or in Philadelphia? I think it's an interesting question. I personally believe that the proximity to academic center is a key thing. Hopkins, Penn, and many others are not very far. FDA is a driving distance, which can be handy. When you are in the middle of discussion with them, it can be something very useful. But I think there is more than that, because when you go back in history, what you find is that there is something special about what's happening here. We spoke about Dr. Jones creating a completely new industry. I think you can think about the gene therapy, and we'll hear about that. I mean, the first gene therapy approved has been also coming from Philadelphia, or you could go back to the Philadelphia chromosome, which was, Fox Chase Cancer Center and University of Pennsylvania discovering the cause of a fairly large number of patients with leukemia were suffering from, and the revolutions that came where the treatment of CML and a Philadelphia positive leukemia has been completely transformed by this discovery. So there is more than just, the fact that we have good people, good education. I think there must be something in the air here that is sort of making Philadelphia a special place. And I don't know what it is. I mean, my assumption is that it has to do with maybe a mixture of Ben Franklin, the inventor, and the Rockies, underdog, and that's what makes Philadelphia what it is and why it is so productive. So I hope you will join us, the Philadelphia Delaware community, to start your research, discovery, long road to success, and we will certainly be a good neighbor for you. Thank you very much.